Hey everybody, Roxabox90 here with some more conspiracy spoilers. Finally, I believe we're starting our conspiracy season, and given that's a big set and it comes out on June 6th, hopefully we'll be getting a lot more in the near future. Right before we jump into that, I'm just going to mention somebody brought up speculation. It was quoted on Blogatog from Mark Rosewater. The evergreen world of the future is not identical to the evergreen world of the present. And they're talking about evergreen are basically keywords, words that you see all the time. I believe it's things like trample and such that aren't given explanation in card text. So what this person is saying is it means it'll either be a new mechanic will be made evergreen, or an existing evergreen mechanic will be retired. So a new mechanic that will be made evergreen, pretty sure unblockable would be one I could see that happening to, given that since M14 they've been trying to creature can't be blocked, making the word unblockable a thing, and that could be maybe the new mechanic since it makes sense and you don't really have to explain it. The existing evergreen mechanic that could be retired, my guess is regeneration, because it doesn't really do a whole lot into the overall game. And I remember reading articles about how the designers in WotC don't exactly love it. They don't usually like to use it, which is why we haven't seen tons of cards with it recently, in any recent time. So that can make sense if they just say, we're done with regeneration, and it's kind of irrelevant. Usually it's not that big a deal, although we did see with like asceticism from scars, so it does exist. It's just strange that they don't really care much about it, or maybe some combination of the two. But anyway, more importantly, we have some conspiracy spoilers, starting out with another legendary creature. This one's the green-white version, and it's an Elf Scout. 2/4. The reason it's in this text is because I don't know if every card is going to be, but a lot of cards from Conspiracy are also going to be in the Vintage Masters set we've been briefly discussing, and we'll get to some of those cards in a minute. And so they are just showing that she will be in the Vintage Masters. 3 for a 2/4 with the ability Parlay. Tap her. Each player reveals the top card of his or her library. For each non-land card, add 1 green to your mana pool and you gain 1 life. Then each player draws a card that includes yourself. So Parlay, like Pirates of the Caribbean, I just find that is so cool, especially when you have, she's not a pirate or anything, but that could be very fun, and it actually reminded me of Mercadian Masks a little bit. Even though this is on Fiora, which is Dak Vaden's homeworld, it's still just, I love it. The ability is really cool. I think she's a very well-costed EDH commander. She's an elf, so it works very well with the colors, and the fact is her ability is a lot of fun, especially for group hug, but even not for group hug, because, yes, you see each opponent's top card of their library, and though they each draw a card from it, that includes yourself, so you're not penalized. It breeds goodwill, and it gives you a ton of, it can in multiplayer give you a ton of mana in the game if you have 3, 4, or more players playing with you. Think about a card like Lantern of Insight. Each player fills the top card of your library, and then it can messes up someone's tutor effect. So this kind of card works so well with her, because you can see what everyone's going to be getting anyway from the revealing top card of their library. And that means you can set it up so that it most benefits you. Overall, I'm sure she'll see lots of interaction. She'll be a lot of fun in EDH Commander. In Draft, I think she's fine. Ramp is usually not the biggest deal in Draft, but a 2/4 body is not terrible. And I think she'll end up being a lot of fun in Commander. The other card here we have is Tyrant's Choice, which is 2 black for a sorcery. Again, this is Vintage Masters and will be in Conspiracy as well. Wheel of the Council, which we already talked about, is one of the better abilities that we've seen in a while, especially for the fact that it can work in multiplayer and also be really good in 1v1. It's almost like a Punisher mechanic that works better. Starting with you, each player votes for death or torture. So cool. If death gets more votes, each opponent sacrifices a creature. If torture gets more votes or the vote is tied, each opponent loses 4 life. So this is basically a better Flame Rift for black. And Flame Rift, for those who don't know, is 1 in a red sorcery that deals 4 damage to each player. And it's used in Legacy decks, mono red, burn. It's a very powerful card, 2 mana for 4 damage, and if you don't care about taking 4 damage, that's great. Here, it's each opponent loses 4 life, so not only is it good in multiplayer, but in a 1v1 game, since you get to basically decide and force the opponent to lose 4 life, because if the vote's tied, which in 1v1 it will be, each opponent loses 4 life, so they just lose 4 life for 2. No penalty to you, which is really powerful. And in multiplayer, it can also act as a edict effect, or work as an edict effect anyway. overall, I think it's a really strong card, especially at common, but Vintage Master is going to be really powerful, so it makes sense. It's a very, very good card. I could definitely see it seeing play outside of these sets. I'm not sure if Conspiracy is legal in all Eternal formats, but I could definitely see it seeing play elsewhere. Very cool card. So those are the two new ones for Conspiracy. Let's just jump in. Also, there were some stuff from Vintage Masters that Vintage Masters only. I believe Arrogant Worm was confirmed here, which is a really powerful Madness card from back in the day. Also, it used to be an uncommon, now it's a common. White-blue control, Terra's Faithful. It's a 1/4 body for 4 that gives you 4 life. The fact that yeah, it's a little costly for what it is, but it's really not a bad common at all, and it's really nice for control decks. Gives you the life gain you need from the aggro attacks, and gives you another blocker. Predator Night Stalker, since they can't have modern legal cards in the set because it's vintage based, this card is not as good as they say here as Necrotal, but it's also still very fine card because it forces sacrifice. Very good. Battle Screech helps with weenies, also because they can't have a modern legal card. Elephant Guide, we've seen it a long time ago. It's a very strong aura, and the art is gorgeous, really gorgeous. Temporal Fissure, Storm decks, pretty much, and Pauper love it. Solar Blast, and then the Tyrant Stars we mentioned. You guys can look through all these cards, see the new arts. I'll put the link in the description, as I always do for these kind of spoilers. And last up, we have confirmation that Recurring Nightmare is going to be, I don't know if it's going to be in Conspiracy, although that would be cool, but I'm pretty sure it won't be. This is in Vintage Masters, and it's one of the most ridiculous broken combo pieces ever printed. It's amazing, and I love it. I really need to get my own for Cube. So anyway, so that's the stuff we got here. The most exciting stuff is the Conspiracy. So let me know your thoughts about all these things that we just mentioned down below in the comment section. If you enjoyed the video, tap the like button. And if you're new to the channel, want to keep up with all the Conspiracy and Vintage Masters spoilers, stay tuned by subscribing. And as always, Roxybox90 signing out. See you guys next time.